This Sunday on Close Up, he may be facing serious charges from the federal government, but activist Jerry DeLemus is not without support here in New Hampshire. We'll get their take on what's going on and the fight. I'm Josh McCelveen. Now, this past week, constitutional rights activist Jerry DeLemus of Rochester went before a federal judge. This after being arrested and indicted on several charges out of Nevada. He's charged in connection with a armed standoff at the Bundy Ranch in Nevada in early 2014 when hundreds turned out to prevent the government from seizing cattle that Bundy refused to remove from public land, basically a grazing rights debate. DeLemus is one of more than a dozen charged by the U.S. Attorney's Office in this case, but the prosecutor admitting this week that DeLemus hadn't arrived on the scene until after the standoff was over, but still called him dangerous because he drove there with weapons, including a .50 caliber rifle, and claimed that DeLemus publicly stated intentions to use force as he saw fit to fight the, quote, lawless government. All right, that sets it up. Now, to talk to us about this morning, supporters that see this as government overreach this morning, we have Jack Kimball, former GOP party chair here in the state, State Rep John Burt. Good to see you guys. Thank you. And we'll start with you, Jack, because you've probably been the spokesman so far out of all this thing. Why is Jerry DeLemus behind bars? Well,
my personal opinion is, and by the way, for the audience, this occurred 2 years ago. You remember that. After the Oregon situation, the federal government came out and said, "Look, we got 68 warrants for people that were at the Bundy Ranch, and we're going to go and round them up." And I think that the only reason they're doing this is because now you had a second episode being the Oregon situation with the Hammond family, and they felt that, you know, we've got to put a stop to this. You know, we got to stop people from taking this kind of action and so on and so forth. Look, the people of this country are waking up, and they're waking up quickly, and they're realizing that their federal government right now is in a major process of overreach. We're talking about on the edge of tyranny. They're forcing people, these ranchers, off their property by any means necessary so to take over that land. People don't know that Cliven Bundy is the last of 51 ranchers. He's it. So he was the last man standing. So I think they're trying to set an example with Jerry and the others that they're picking.
Yeah, and the grazing rights, I mean, that's a completely separate debate. But John, you, Representative Burt, you went before the judge.
I did.
You know, during the detention hearing as a character witness.
Yes.
What's your take on what's happening here?
Well, I think the biggest thing why they're doing it is because of the Oregon case, and it's been 2 years since the Bundy case.
And explain it. These are two separate
They are. They're two
issues.
huge separate incidents. Yes. But it's where the American public is saying, enough government, stop. And the only reason they're rounding up Jerry and the others is to send a message to Jack, me, and the rest of our friends out there to say, whoa, don't try this at home, people. Don't try this, or we'll arrest you too, because they don't want another Ruby Ridge or Waco, Texas. And that's what the government is fearing.
Yeah, I mean, he's secured the defense of Mark Sisti, it appears. Moving forward, the facts of the case are going to be litigated, obviously. Yes. But the contention has been that, in 2014, DeLemus arrived at the ranch to cool things off, the Bundy Ranch, to stop the gunfire. You said that he saved lives, likely, but yet he had the weapons with him. I mean, why? That's the question that prosecutors are going to be asking, pointing to.
Well, why, Josh? It's right here, and it's called the Constitution. And if you meet me or you stand next to me, chances are I'm carrying. And I'm a peaceful man. There is no law against carrying a gun. Even a .50 caliber, you are allowed to carry a gun in this country, in most states.
Okay. Jack?
Well, the other thing is that people, and I was in court, I was at both the hearings, and the prosecuting, the assistant AG, was claiming that the .50 caliber weapon was an offensive weapon. Come on, folks, seriously. Look at the firepower that this government can bring to bear at any time it wishes. Right? A .50 caliber rifle is a .50 caliber rifle, and by the way, it's not an assault weapon. It's a semi-automatic weapon.
It was deemed offensive weapon.
Right. So they're calling it an offensive weapon. Sorry, folks, but a weapon is a weapon, and it depends on how it gets used in whatever hands. But that can be a defensive weapon as well. So if the Bundy Ranch was attacked by the FBI or the feds, then you know, those weapons become defensive. Right. So you know, it's not even about that at this stage. They're using that. Jerry had the perfect right to have weapons. There's nothing against the law with respect to that. They were never used, and he never intended to use them. If you know Jerry DeLemus, you know he's a man of peace. He went out there, and actually, because of Jerry, it is my firm belief, no shots were fired. That is not what he wanted. He went there to stand tall for a man that was being, in my view, terrorized by the BLM. And Cliven Bundy's a brave patriot, and he decided, I'm going to protect my family and my land and my property from this government overreach. I've done everything I could up until this point. Now they're killing my cattle, and now they're stealing my cattle. Enough's enough. And basically, I completely concur and agree with his actually putting the word out and asking for help and assistance.
Now, I mean, he is facing clearly some serious charges. We'll just throw up a few of them there. But even the prosecutor, when in court, said, you know, a couple of these maybe, you know, we'll see what happens with him, because he didn't get there until after the standoff was over, or maybe took control of the standoff to make sure it was over. We'll see as this case plays out. Representative Burt, do you think that he is being charged if he doesn't go to Oregon for another situation, which, by the way, I'll point out that his supporters say he called the FBI to say, hey, look, guys, I'm going out there to try to basically do the same thing that happened in Nevada, and that's to calm things down? Is that correct?
Absolutely. Anytime Jerry and I talked about anything that we felt was wrong in the government, Jerry always said there's got to be a peaceful way. Every time, there's got to be a peaceful way to deal with this. And that is what he was doing in Oregon. And again, you know, I just go back. The government had 2 years to get this right. They allowed this supposedly, allegedly dangerous man among us for 2 years with a .50 caliber rifle. And now he's in jail. Well, why didn't they come and pick him up 2 years ago? And then the biggest reason I look at, too, is the prosecutor on the last hearing. They have said all of a sudden, you know, he wasn't even there on these couple charges. They had 2 years to get this right. That's why it is guaranteed. It's because of the Oregon case.
Yeah, it's been a rough week, obviously, for supporters, especially Jerry's wife, Susan DeLemus.
Yes.
How big is it, just in terms of the defense, and maybe mindset, Jack, that he, at least for now, remains in New Hampshire?
I think it's important, and the reason is that a lot of the other people who have been picked up live out west. I mean, that's where they come from. Their supports are out there. Jerry's supports are here. This is the other side of the country. And I think it's critically important that Jerry be retained. If he has to be detained, he's detained here in New Hampshire. Our goal is to get him out on bail, awaiting trial. He's going to have to go to trial, but there's no reason why Jerry can't be with his family. People have to understand, the government can come in here and do what they did. Okay, there's no expense that they're going to spare. That's not coming out of their pockets. So you got a federal entity placing charges, federal charges. You got an attorney general that has definitely made it clear that she's coming after these guys. Federal. And then you go to a federal court with a federal judge. All of this, okay, against one individual who absolutely doesn't have the financial wherewithal to fight this and so on and so forth. So we're going to help with that. Those are the things that we can do. By the way, patriotjerry.com, patriotjerry.com, to help Jerry out. So what we want to do and have worked on is get him better representation. Mark Sisti, I think, arguably one of the best, if not the best, defense attorneys in the state, has taken up this case. We're thrilled. And we're going to move forward to appeal the last hearing's decision. The good news was that he was found not a flight risk. So now the big gorilla in the room is the actual calling him a danger to the community, which he is not. And that decision is going to be made at the next hearing, which probably won't occur until the end of this month, because this new attorney is going to come on and he's going to put together a pretty powerful case for Jerry being released.
Okay, and I want you to kind of elaborate on why you believe he's still in jail, because the judge, in the ruling itself, the detainment order ruling, did say that the government didn't prove, or even come close really, to proving his case that he's a flight risk, but it's the dangerousness of the charges as why he needs to be behind bars. Do you think that's going to be something that's explained away pretty easily?
I think so, especially when you start explaining, you know, the peacefulness of Jerry and why he went out there to the Bundy Ranch and also to Oregon. I think that's going to be explained away very easily.
Let me ask you about perception. You know, there's pictures of Jerry out there holding his guns and things like that, and of course there's nothing wrong with that,
Yeah.
but there's concerns like, you know what, we don't want to put forth this image, because you brought it up, you know, it conjures up thoughts of Ruby Ridge and Waco and things like that. But yes, Jerry DeLemus is your friend, guys. I mean, you said that, but you said that's not the only reason you're really getting involved here. Jack, kind of, why are you so passionate about this?
Yeah, I'm very passionate about this because if not but for the grace of God, there go a lot of us. We who are prior military guys, you are, I am, Jerry is, we took an oath to protect, defend, and uphold the Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic. We take it seriously. We still take it seriously. And we now, a lot of us, have recognized what's going on in this country. This current administration has divided this country like no other president has ever divided it. He is now really and truly ruling with an iron fist when it comes to the good guys. They're coming after the good guys. You have to take a look at what he's doing on the other side, the flip side. We already now know he's been supporting ISIS. He's let 5 of the top Taliban generals go. 3 of the 5 are back in the fray.
Well,
all right, this is insanity.
We are getting bigger picture, and I see your point that you're making. That's why a lot of people, you know, have concerns about the direction of the federal government. I want to end with this. Before Mark Sisti became his legal representation, he's very anxious to tell his story, and that's Jerry DeLemus. We requested an interview. We had to go through the federal marshals. Never got approval for that. But again, Jerry wanted to talk over the phone or do an interview. His attorney said that's not a good idea, so that's not going to happen. How's he doing, and what do you believe his argument will be moving forward?
Well, I spoke to Jerry a few times, actually 3 or 4 times in the last couple days. If Jerry's doing okay. I mean, Jerry is a prior Marine, and Jerry made it clear, if it was just me, it wouldn't be that difficult. I can handle it. But my wife and my mother-in-law was very sick, as you know, with Alzheimer's. He says, I'm the other half of the care for her. You know, with not me there, Sue's got the whole football game. And he's the primary breadwinner, so the income has stopped. So this is tearing a good family apart for no good reason, in my view. And this is just to set an example. So Jerry moving forward, I think you're going to find now that he's got Mark Sisti to represent him, we're going to move forward, and there'll be some good decisions hopefully coming down the path.
Well, gentlemen, obviously you're convicted in your support and your belief of Jerry DeLemus and what he may stand for. Obviously, the federal government wasn't here to give their case. We're going to hear that as it moves forward. But I do appreciate you joining us on the program. And best of luck to both of you guys moving forward. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us, John.
Good to see you. And be right back with more. Stay with us.